Less than 2% of the vanilla flavor used in the world today comes from an actual vanilla bean. The rest is made in a factory. A kilo of synthetic vanillin sells for around $15. The same molecule, extracted from a real vanilla bean, can cost $1,500. Both end up sold as vanilla. So how does that work? The answer to that, three things have to make sense. Why vanilla was almost impossible to grow for most of its history, how the food industry stopped needing it, and why one country still grows most of it, even when almost nobody is paying for it. Vanilla is an orchid. In the wild, only one bee can pollinate it, the melipona, native to southern Mexico. For nearly 3 centuries, that single fact gave Mexico a near monopoly on commercial vanilla. The vine grew elsewhere, but the flower never set fruit. That changed in 1841 on the French colony of Réunion. An enslaved 12-year-old named Edmond Albius worked out how to pollinate the flower by hand. He used a thin stick to lift a small membrane inside the orchid and a quick press of the thumb to do what the bee did. The whole thing takes a few seconds. Almost every vanilla bean on earth today is still pollinated this way, by hand, flower by flower. Albius died in poverty. By the late 19th century, chemists had figured out something useful. The flavor of a vanilla bean is dominated by one single molecule, vanillin. A cured bean is only around 1 to 2% vanillin by weight. Once that was understood, the question became, can we just make the molecule? And the answer was yes. Today, almost all the vanillin on Earth comes from one of 3 industrial routes. The largest is petrochemical, vanillin synthesized from guaiacol, a compound derived from oil. That route alone accounts for around 85% of synthetic supply. The second comes from lignin, a byproduct of paper mills, a route now run almost entirely by a single Norwegian producer. The third is fermentation. Yeast or bacteria fed a plant-made material like rice bran, producing vanillin inside a steel tank. That third route is where the interesting part begins, because if a molecule made by yeast in a tank is chemically identical to a molecule made by an orchid in Madagascar, what does the word natural actually mean? In the United States, the answer is written into federal regulation under 21st CFR 101.22. Natural flavor covers compounds derived from plant or animal sources and fermentation products of those same sources. That last clause is the one that matters. It means vanillin made by feeding rice bran to yeast can legally be sold as natural flavor, even though no vanilla bean was ever involved. 2 clarifications. First, this does not let anyone label the result vanilla extract. Vanilla extract has its own separate FDA standard, and that one does require actual cured beans. Second, natural flavor on the front of a package is a regulatory category. It is not a claim about where the ingredient came from. So, 3 different versions of vanilla flavor now compete on the same shelf. Petrochemical synthetic, sold as artificial flavor. Fermentation derived, sold legally as natural flavor. And extract from cured beans, the only one that needs a farmer in Madagascar. In the lab, all 3 are essentially the same compound. In the market, they are 3 different industries. On the label, they are 3 different categories. And it's that third distinction, the legal one, that decides where the money ends up. All of this could read as a clean industrial efficiency story, but the older system never actually went away, it just stopped paying. Around 70 to 80% of the world's natural vanilla beans come from Madagascar. Inside Madagascar, most of that production is concentrated in a single northeastern region called Saba. About 70,000 smallholder farmers grow the crop there, on plots that are usually less than a hectare each. The entire global supply of natural vanilla rests on a region you could drive across in a day. The market runs on a brutal cycle. When a cyclone hits Saba, supply drops and prices spike. When the harvest is good and synthetic substitutes pull buyers away, prices collapse. In 2018, the average farm gate price for green vanilla in Saba was around 36 euros per kilo. By 2023, it was 2.20 euros, a drop of roughly 94% in 5 years. For reference, Fairtrade calculated in 2024 that the minimum price needed for a Sava farmer to earn a decent living from vanilla is around 10 euros per kilo. The actual price was a fifth of that. When prices crash, farmers shift to other things: charcoal, logging, subsistence crops. When the prices spike, theft becomes the main problem, and farmers sleep in the fields to guard the harvest. If this is the kind of breakdown you find useful, the channel does one of these every week. Subscribing helps. A flower that depends on a bee almost no one has heard of, a molecule that depends on neither, and a country whose income sits in the gap between the two. The synthetic version is not fraudulent, it's the same molecule. What changed, somewhere in the 20th century, is which version of the molecule the law decided to call natural. That decision moves real money out of a region in northeastern Madagascar into a fermentation plant in Europe for the 70,000 farmers in Sava. The difference between a boom and a collapse comes down on how one word in one paragraph of the Federal Code was defined. If you want to see the same logic play out in a completely different product, the previous video on this channel is about avocados. The same mechanism, different food. Thanks for watching.